Hey folks, and welcome to Typology, the show on which we explore the mystery of the human personality and the mystery of the great human adventure, all through the lens of the Enneagram. My name is Anthony Skinner, your producer and co-host. So happy to have you here today, folks. We got a true longtime friend in the house, filmmaker, writer, songwriter, producer, recording artist. His creative fingerprints can be found all across films that you've seen, music that you've heard. A real influencer. I'm talking about Steve Taylor, true Renaissance man. His career has spanned over 4 decades, earned him multiple Grammy, Billboard, Telly, Addy, and Dove Awards and nominations. He sold 1 million albums worldwide as a recording artist. Then he fronted this modern rock band, Chagall Guevara. If you've never heard Chagall Guevara, do yourself a favor, stream it. And if they get together for any kind of reunion anywhere near you, make sure you go see it. He's the only artist to twice win Billboard Music Video Awards for self-directed videos. The accolades go on and on and on. He is the founder of Squint Entertainment. He's a filmmaker in residence at Lipscomb University. Go Bisons. My son got to sit under him when he went to Lipscomb. So we really love Steve here in the Typology house. We go on a bit of a journey today. He identifies, Steve does, as an Enneagram 7. The guy's got energy for days, but in this season of life, he's become much more reflective, and we get into that. It's a really great conversation. He's got a film out called Sketch. I think it's already now gone to the streaming platforms, Netflix. I believe it's Netflix. Make sure you watch that really cool film, Sketch. We talk about Sketch as well on the show, so you'll get some more info on that. But hey, so glad you're here. Steve is somebody you want to hear from. That's it for me, Anthony Skinner. And now, without any further ado, here is the host of the show, Ian Crum.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Typology. I am so stoked today because every now and then I don't have a guest that is unknown to me, but a friend who gets to be in the space with us. And today I have one of my dearest friends in the world on the show. Artist, musician, songwriter, record executive, film producer, film director, film professor, jack of all trades, Enneagram 7, Steve Taylor is in the house.
Master of none. But there you go.
Well, Steve, you are an Enneagram 7, and because I know you so well, I can confirm that.
Yes.
I can wholeheartedly say I have no doubts about your being a 7. But here's where I want to go today. It's a little different. Okay. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about Enneagram types as they age, as they get older. Obviously, you and I are roughly the same age, and I'm beginning to spend a lot more time thinking about maturity, character, spirituality. Like in some ways, I feel like things are changing inside without someone consulting me. Like it's just happening as I get older. Are you beginning to have some of that as well?
Yes. There's probably coming at me faster than I would have chosen, but yes.
Yeah. So can you tell me, like, what do you sense bubbling up in you right now at this stage in your life?
Well, I'm 67, and one of the things I've noticed is that the things that worked well that I could get away with as a younger person and as an artist, like, I'll give you an example. I noticed that as you mentioned, I teach classes here at Lipscomb University. I've never been late to teach a class. I am always late for meetings. And I just realized, well, there's no excuse for that, and that's not funny anymore. So, so it's not that I can't be on time. It's that for whatever reason, I'm deciding that meetings aren't as important, and I can just roll in 5 minutes late, and it's got to stop. And so I told a few people that have been very kind not to mention it, that I'm deeply sorry, and it's not going to happen anymore. So I think part of it is just realizing that, there's no excuse for things like that. And I can't just blame it on being a 7 or, being an artist.
Mm. So you've built your whole life as a 7 really around, creativity, energy, possibility, unlimited options,
Yes.
blue sky. And that's reflected in your resume, right? Your CV. These are classic Enneagram 7 themes, and your mind works so quickly and so creatively. But as you get older, as a 7, what's it like not to run out of the new so much,
right,
but to live in a world? Do you feel like the world is still filled with unlimited, infinite options for you, or are you starting to sense like I gotta hone it down, I gotta focus in because the clock is ticking?
Yes, but like a good 7, I don't really believe that the clock is ticking, even though I know better. So I'm starting there, but I would be lying if I told you that that I'm well on that journey. I still think in terms of unlimited possibilities and unlimited time, but then I have to remind myself again, I'm 67. I don't know the future. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around. And I think there's probably some good things about living that way, but there are also things that are detrimental and that a grown man should be aware of.
So, all right, let me just even back up and ask a more general question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm resisting it with all my might, and 10 being I'm accepting it with grace and I'm okay with just the topic of getting older. Are you 1, resisting it, and then all the way up to 10, which is embracing it, hugging it? It's like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm probably like a 5.
Probably a 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little angsty still.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you and I know each other very well. And so we've had some discussions around that, but you know me well enough to know that, my mindset about certain things is probably not what it should be for a person who's 67 years old.
How so? Tell me. I want you to tell me what that means.
Well, let's just say, we've hung out together and we've gone to the gym together and I like going to the gym, but I realize that I am staving off the inevitable. And there are other reasons to go to the gym, but one of them, immortality, is not one of them. But, I still sort of think in terms of, well, if I just keep doing this, I'll be fine. And that's just not how life and aging work.
Yeah. And do you think that's kind of the 7's denial to face difficult things? And it's like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
I think that's probably true. And I'm sure you could reinforce that, knowing me, that that's true. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I've been reading this new Ronald Rolheiser has a new book on getting older, and it's called "Insane for the Light" is the name of the book, and he draws a lot from James Hillman and others about this topic, and he says that getting older is a gift from God, and the soul ripens. The soul ripens. And you become, the goal is to get older graciously, right? Like, and I don't think it's a resignation of life. It's more of this kind of beautiful acceptance. And it sounds like you're in the synapse, if you're a 5, right? Between accepting it and resisting it at the moment.
Right. Like you told me about that book. And of course, I love Ronald Rolheiser. So I'm just immediately thinking, oh, I need to read that book. But that's probably also the case with about 10 other books that I feel like I need to read in the next year. So, yeah, what's that about?
Yeah. Well, all right. So in the first half of your life, you were, as a 7, and I think this is very 7-ish. I mean, you were known for being irreverent and boundary pushing. And I love what my friend Rob Mathis, the brilliant musician, says about you. He goes, that guy invented irony for Christians. Like nobody had done irony prior to you.
Funny.
Right?
And true. Yeah.
Isn't that right, Anthony?
Yeah, very true. Oh my gosh. I still think about your first record, man. It blew our minds.
Yes.
Back in 83, 84. Oh my gosh. Blew our minds. And you were saying things nobody else was saying at the time.
So has your way of seeing the world as a 7, which is, definitely boundary pushing and all the things I just said, how has your point of view, your humor, how has it changed, if at all?
I think one of the ways it's changed is as I got into more becoming, a storyteller and a filmmaker, one of the rules we have in storytelling and screenwriting is everybody's got their reasons. And so even the bad guys, you have to give them motivations where they don't believe they're bad guys. They think they're doing what they should be doing given their circumstances. So it's like, what's that quote that people attach, be kind because everyone's fighting a great battle?
Yeah.
That keeps coming back and hitting me and resonating more and more because as you age and see more of the world, you realize that even the people you wanted to just kind of dismiss as bad people or something like that, they all have their reasons. And me judging them is not probably doing anybody any good. So, I'm still believe in good and evil. And I believe in, certainly as a Christian, that there are better ways to live than other ways to live. But just the understanding of how easily it is to get sidetracked and get off on the wrong path has helped me be more patient, I guess.
So it sounds like one of the gifts of getting older is the emergence of compassion, right? And I'm thinking about how 7s under stress go to the low side of 1, and they can take the moral high ground.
Right.
They can be pretty judgmental, pretty critical, a little self-righteous.
I think you're describing me very well.
Well, I don't experience you that way in the context of our friendship, but
right.
But I'm just wondering if, as you get older, if it sounds like that's softening for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, Anthony was talking about that first album. If you listen to that today, you would find a lot of those traits in the person who wrote those songs. And you probably wouldn't find as much of those traits in, say, the last album I made. It just is, it's a different time. I'm a different age, and things are more complicated.
Right. And isn't that true, right? As you get older, you realize that everything is more complicated. Mm-hmm. Like life is so complicated. It doesn't get, some things get much simpler in a way, and other things just become so rich and thick with meaning. And you realize, man, I'm really over my head on this earth. It's so much bigger than I am. And I don't think I felt that way as a young man.
Yeah.
It's that's been a turn in the water for me, for sure. So, our friend Richard Rohr likes to say that the second half of life is, and this isn't just for 3s, but particularly for 3, 7s, and 8s, is about moving from doing to being. And I look at your life and your schedule, and I'll come to your house and I'll just be honest, right? You're like Tigger. Right? Like you're like boinging from the computer to the phone to the this to the that. It's like watching, somebody on the move. But as a 7, what's the transition in the second half of life from doing to being like for you? Like do you see progress in that regard?
Well, one of the things that's helped a little bit is I'm a teacher now at a university, and the being part is more valuable and more front and center, I think, to students, because I'm teaching. I'm doing stuff on the side, but I'm teaching them. I'm not making things in front of them, right? And so there's a certain amount of reflection that has to go on in teaching, and there's a certain amount of reflection about how I've done it in the past and things that went well and mistakes that were made that Rohr talks about in the book. It's falling upward, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the beauty of actually starting to give yourself away in other ways that aren't so kind of self-focused and self-motivated. Is one of the exhausting things about being an artist, especially early on in my career, is part of the job was just waking up every day and thinking, okay, what can I get done? What can I do to get other people to pay attention to me? Like, it was just so me focused. And that's a tricky thing to be as someone who professes to be a follower of Christ, who, made himself of no reputation and took on the form of a servant. And part of the reason I started getting into producing albums for other artists or making music videos, things like that, is just because it wasn't so me focused. I was actually trying to put the artist first and trying to figure out what's best for them. And certainly that's part of teaching too.
That's cool. Have you been conscious of that? Like, how long have you been in this position at Lipscomb now?
Like 12 years.
Oh, has it been that long? I didn't know it was that long. Has it been something you've been conscious of? During that process? Wow.
Yeah, they give me a very wide berth so that they let me do a bunch of other stuff as well. But, I really want to be a good teacher. And so I'm always marveling at people who are really good at it and taking notes and trying to think how I can make this class better, how... the information is there for people to find just about anywhere. You can take really good YouTube tutorials and learn a lot of things about filmmaking, but my experiences on a set and directing or producing or writing actually are probably more valuable in using examples from my own life in a classroom. And certainly students seem to respond better to that as well. They want to know, what was it like? And so that's been probably a helpful thing for them.
So sevens have an aversion to limitations, yes, to feeling darker emotions or feelings or thoughts. They often will have this sort of manic, sometimes toxic optimism about the future. It's not a healthy optimism. It's a little delusional on the edges sometimes.
Right.
And I'm wondering, and also because I know your story and your life a little bit, have you discovered that certain kinds of difficult feelings, pain, sadness, grief, now have any kind of grace attached to them?
Absolutely. I did a podcast interview a week ago. And it was with someone who was very familiar with my career and knew things about me that I've forgotten. And he said, Steve, you're like a velociraptor. I said, oh, yeah? He said, well, let me explain. He said, in Jurassic Park, the velociraptor is going around and checking the fence and just trying to find where is the one chink in the fence that he can get through, right? And he says, I think you've been that. And I thought about that of quite a bit over the last few days. And I thought that's probably true. But that inability to accept limitations, sometimes it works in my favor. And sometimes it creates a lot of angst and frankly, pain for others as well. When my family is watching me, my wife describes it as, the shark, before it goes in, something rolls over its eyes. Like, she's seen me in that mode, and it's not a good way to live.
So I've been watching this documentary on Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
By the way, I'm on episode 4 now, and it is extraordinary.
Yes.
It is a wonderful documentary. What I didn't realize about him, in addition to his upbringing, which I didn't realize was as difficult as it was and as violent as it was, there's a person there of deep emotional depth and complexity, right? Like he has suffered and he has made himself suffer at times. And he's drawing from this deep, rich pool of probably uncomfortable and also darker emotions. I mean, like this guy is wrestling with huge themes of good and evil, about what human beings are capable of violence, and also taking risks that were on the surface really stupid, right? Like you just think to yourself, from a career standpoint, Last Temptation of Christ was probably kind of a, right? Or,
right.
The King of Comedy, right? That film. Right. And you're like, really? And yet, of course, now we look back on those and think masterpieces, right? But at the time, they were considered losers, like in a way. I'm wondering, because of the seven, and I'm not saying that this isn't to say in any way, shape, or form that you are emotionally shallow, but sevens stay away from those feelings, typically.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, for you, how do you get in touch with those darker emotions? Like, how do you, so that you can draw on them to make great work? Because that's the pool in which so much of the good stuff is born.
Yeah. For me, I've got to get rid of as many distractions as possible and just think and breathe, and lots of times go on drives and try to separate myself from any other distraction possible. I'm not a very good driver, so that probably is, I need a self-driving car to do this, and then I'd really be able to pull this off in a better way. But I'm easily distracted and easily think about the next thing. And like you said, I don't like to close off any future possibilities. But particularly with filmmaking, it requires so much time and focus, and the understanding that this is probably going to be a years-long process as opposed to months-long like music used to be. So I guess filmmaking in one way has forced me to grow up, because it just took a lot more out of me than music making did.
So I guess where are all these questions going? When you look at your life story as an artist, a provocateur, I don't use that word very much, a raconteur, a performer, what deeper identity do you sense for you as a seven is being born in you at this stage in your life? Like a sense of deeper identity.
Yeah, I hope it's someone who has been able to encourage other people, and especially other artists, to go for things that they maybe didn't think were possible. I'm a very good enthusiast. That's part of the label of a seven. And so I love when I see something that's really good or that has great potential, as you've seen probably too, I love getting in there and saying, man, you can do this. And I love seeing really good work done and telling people how much I love the good work that they did. So my mother was a really good, encouraging person, an encouraging presence in a lot of people's lives. So I'm hoping maybe that's something that of reputation I leave this earth with. That's a few.
Yeah, that I think speaks to what Hillman says, right? That in this stage of life, we're focused more on issues of character and the deepening of character, and obviously giving your life away, right? Like I can remember years ago, if I had ideas for books or stuff, or not books or as much, but yeah, maybe I'd be very proprietary. Like, or even I'd get really mad when people would quote me and not give me attribution. You know what I mean? Like, right. And as I get older, I'm a little bit more like, well, look, if it's true, it actually doesn't belong to me anyway. So go ahead and quote, Yeah. And also it's like, give your life away. Like at this point, what are you going to do? You got to take this stuff with you? Let him
right.
Like,
yes.
Go for it, everybody.
Yeah.
But that took a while to get comfortable with that, in part because I guess I was still building a career.
Right.
And I just didn't want people playing in my sandbox.
Right.
And now, like, I guess that is a big thing for me. Like, I'm past, I was just away on a retreat, as you know, and speaking, and it was wonderful, but I did listen to a lot of people in their 30s and 40s, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not in the achievement stage anymore. Like where I'm really trying to prove myself. I mean, part of me misses it, and part of me is like, man, I'm just really glad that that's not what drives me anymore. You know, like it's just not as, you know, not as big a thing. Is that, have you noticed that in yourself?
Yeah. You know, I teach a lot of aspiring artists, and I tell them the only three constants in life are death, taxes, and professional jealousy. And and I, you know, it's something I caught myself doing early on in my career, and I got, hopefully because of my Christian training, upbringing, I recognized it was a bad thing and had to work really hard against it, right? And so when you kind of recognize those things in yourself, I call them sin. Part one is realizing that they're bad, and then, you know, part two is finding ways to overcome it. So I've been trying to teach that to aspiring artists and save them the pain of all the things that come with that, because being an artist is hard enough. Being an artist who becomes, you know, cynical and bitter in their 30s because life hasn't gone the way they want it to is just going to probably slow you down even further, and is a bad way to live.
Yeah. Hey friends, the Enneagram is a remarkably powerful tool for improving relationships. Whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, understanding the people around you is critical to building better relationships. The Enneagram provides a framework for understanding different perspectives and communication styles. Imagine knowing why your colleague reacts defensively in meetings, or why your partner needs space when they're stressed. Understanding these dynamics helps you navigate both your inner world and your relationships with more empathy, patience, and compassion. It's like having a cheat sheet for human behavior. Don't know your type? Well, find out today with my new Typology Institute Enneagram assessment at typologyinstitute.com/assessment. And be sure to enter the discount code Typology Podcast on the checkout page to take 10% off your assessment. Go to typologyinstitute.com/assessment. So when you look back on your life as a 7, what part of your soul today feels still most unfinished?
We were just talking about looking at people in their 30s wanting to get things achieved. I work really closely with Mike Naraki, the co-creator of VeggieTales and voice of Larry the Cucumber, and I'm producing his new animated series, The Dead Sea Squirrels. And,
which I love. Everybody, tell everybody where you can learn about The Dead Sea Squirrels.
Oh, it's good.
It's amazing. And tell people what it's about, because it's awesome.
Yes, it's on Minnow TV. It's Michael is a 10-year-old boy whose father's an archaeologist. The series opens at the Dead Sea where his dad's doing a dig. Michael gets bored. He wanders into a cave. He finds 2 dead salt-encrusted squirrels that he thinks are cool. So he smuggles them home to Nashville in his backpack, and he puts them in his bedroom window to air them out. And it rains that night. They would get wet. They reanimate. Now you've got 2 squirrels who are alive during Jesus' time, and hijinks ensue. And of course, it's called the Dead Sea Squirrels. And Mike is not only the world's nicest guy. I think you've had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But it's also like just a tremendously hard worker and so dependable, and is just a blast to work with. And we were talking yesterday that our schedules are probably not sustainable. And he's like, yeah, but remember when you did that Strength Finders thing, and, you know, Achiever was number 1 on you and was number 2 on me. It's like, so you got 2 people who are wired that way. And so that's the part that I'm still not, more than anything, I'm still thinking about the next project and what can be done. And it's just, that's going to be a hard thing to give up. But then you see, you know, people in their 90s who are all about world domination, and it just is so sad. So I'm gonna have to get a handle on this sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, and I'm as a 4, I'm someone who, and I bet you your wife Deb is like this too. I'm acutely aware of the passage of time. So and that's a very 4 thing. So when autumn comes, I mean, it's like this very sweet melancholy, and I get quieter. I think about, the Japanese, when they have the apple blossom, the cherry blossoms falling from the trees, those pictures, I'm like, it is so Enneagram 4, right? These beautiful flowers that are dropping from the trees. And it's about the passage of time and all the feelings that come with it. Now, that's in part because we're a little bit more, we're past-oriented people. Like, we think about the past, right? You do not typically think a lot about the past. You think a lot about the future.
Right.
And I'm just like wondering, for you as a 7, do you have practices that keep you in the present so that you're not missing life as it is happening to you in this moment?
Being married helps. My wife is good at kind of bringing me back to the present. If I wasn't married, especially if I wasn't married to Debbie, I'd think that would be a bigger problem than it is. But it's still a pretty big problem, I got to admit.
I do think that's part of the growth edge for 7s, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, part of it is having a more balanced orientation to time. Not just being so future focused, but kind of bringing the present, the past, and the future into harmony with each other. Because they all have gifts to bring, and you don't want to shut the door on 2/3 of the time, the gifts that time has to offer us, right?
Right.
And
Ian, do you journal?
Yes.
I think that's probably something that would be a good thing for me to do, is take time to do that, because I really have never done that.
Yes. And
do you find it helps you anchor into the present? Yeah,
it definitely does. At the very least, Steve, I think what journaling does. Well, first of all, the research about journaling and how it helps us integrate things in our lives is very compelling, right? And not on a computer, but with your hand, with a journal. Like there's actual brain stuff going on, like neurologically, as you unpack your life on paper. At the very least, every single day, I sit down and I write half a paragraph or a paragraph, 3 paragraphs about things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Right. So this morning it was about my retreat at Lady Lodge and what I learned there. And I kind of like recorded a few things about it that were so great. I wrote about going today to Groon's to get a new guitar.
Nice. Did you get it?
I did.
Nice.
But with Buddy Green and I went together, and it was just a joy, and just like what music has meant to me in my life, and songwriting, and just journaled about that, right, etc. So at least 3 things a day that I'm grateful for. And sometimes it's 2 sentences. Sometimes it's, like I said, a full paragraph.
Yeah.
I think at the very least, that itself is really healthy. Good for you.
I'll add to that too, because I don't write. I actually, type in, and I've taught journaling for probably 30 years now. And I think it's like the creative process. If you're writing a song or you're working on a script, sometimes it's like your fingers know something, like reveal something the rest of you didn't even realize.
Yeah. And
I think that happens in journaling. It's like you kind of make it a practice and you're working something out, but there's something about when you get into flow, just like when you're being creative, when you're journaling, that things are revealed just through the process that otherwise you just by sitting and thinking you don't get to. Mm-hmm. And I've even found, like this happened to me today. I was in a meeting and I got some information that kind of, it hurt. And I've done this a couple times recently where I actually pull my phone out and I write down what I'm feeling in my notes, and it helps me connect to what I'm feeling and also release it at the same time. So anyway, very powerful.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good.
Steve, I think I know you're going to hate this, but I think one thing I always tell sevens, and I think maybe you wouldn't hate it, but just to develop a practice of centering prayer, where it's meditative prayer. And you could just start with 5 minutes. Like I just did 5 minutes this morning. That's all I had time for. But you sit, and you and I could sit down and have you ever done centering prayer? Like, do you know about that from Father Thomas Keating or anything?
I don't. It's more than just saying the Lord's Prayer or something like that.
Yeah.
It's actually...
So you pick a word, like my word is shalom. Some people pick peace or love. It actually, the content, the meaning of the word doesn't really matter, right? It's just an anchor. And this is a very short version. You sit down and you just try to quiet the mind altogether, quiet the mind, and focus on your breathing. And when your mind, and clear the mind as best you can. Now, your mind is going to produce thoughts, yours in particular, because it's a 7 mind. It's got lots of thoughts, racy thoughts. Whenever your attention is drawn away or distracted by a thought, you kind of observe it and you just say that word. So, like I might just, shalom, right? And then let the thought go. Don't attach to it. Don't grab it. Don't jump into the narrative. And if you catch yourself doing that, you just very gently and kindly go, oh yeah, of course, that's what I'm doing. And then you just go back to the word. And it's actually what is in the Buddhist tradition, this kind of meditation is really just attention training, like learning to be the master, more of where your mind isn't just running wild, like feral. And it gives you a kind of depth and a sense of groundedness and a sense of, like, you begin to notice things, like you have a deeper perceptive appreciation for creation. You're picking up more cues from people because your attention you're developing that attentional muscle in your mind. So you're not missing social cues when someone is sad or needs to talk to you, or when you're just more present. Yeah. It's usually 7s tell me it's really kind of hellish to learn centering prayer because their minds are so active. Sometimes a 1-to-1 7 will tell me that it's not as hard because they're really kind of drawn to the fantastic, mystical side of it, but they actually have to learn how not to turn centering prayer into a new adventure.
Yes.
Right? Like, ooh, a new feeling. Oh, a new thing. It's like, no, now you're distracted by that, right?
Right.
I'll give you a book on centering prayer. I'll give you a couple books. It's tremendously helpful. Anthony, you've had great success with it as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a game changer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. The thing about it is it's so simple and you're going to think it's very passive. But what you're doing is opening your heart and your mind and your body to the presence of God and just saying, I'm not saying anything. Like I talk too much as it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually just going to open myself to you to slow me down, to sharpen my attention, and actually Keating calls it divine therapy because you're just opening yourself up and saying, God, rewire things in me that the old trope, God, do for me what I cannot do for myself. It's like, just be quiet and sit there. What do you does that sound awful to you?
Yes, it does. And it sounds like something I really need. Because my first thought is, oh, good. Okay. Is there a way I can do that in the car? Which is probably not the idea.
I'll tell you this.
No.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you start small, like what you do with anything, right? And you build the muscle. But it does, like one of the main gifts I think it gives is it allows you to be present in situations where you otherwise wouldn't be. Like you learn to be present there and you take that with you everywhere. And then ultimately, I think you can do a lot of it in the car. You can do it almost anywhere you are once you develop that muscle. And I think for a 7, like we've talked about being future oriented, the power of being able to be present, especially when you want to default to sort of the, some of the impairments of the type 7, it's like it'll develop a superpower within you. So thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is when it helps a 7, Steve, is that when difficult thoughts or emotions come up, learning to sit with them, and to have them in a way where you're kind of also simultaneously observing them with just like, okay, so this is here. I can be with this.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you'd think for a 4 that I'd have lots of dark emotions come up, like when I'm meditating. Actually, I don't at all. Like I honestly, it's usually stuff like I got to go to the dry cleaners, or or boy, that sure was a great dinner party last night.
Right.
Now I got a little agita now, but okay, we're okay. But I think that's a really powerful exercise for 7s.
All right. So here's what I'm committing to you. Get me the book. Just give me the best one. I don't want to read 2 books. I'll read the 1 book, but I'm going to do it.
We got it for you on Blinkist.
There you go. I'm going to do 5 minutes this week.
Sweet.
In the morning. Because that really rings true. And it sounds like torture. I remembered recently, like a few days ago, a song we used to sing when I was a kid called Sweet Hour of Prayer. Mm-hmm. And I thought, hour? How does anybody do an hour? I can't even do 5 minutes. So this is good. My wife and I can pray. We have a time every morning of scripture reading and prayer, but sitting on my own, like that sounds, I got to do it. I'm committing.
Actually, we could do it together. I can just show you how to do it. We can have a 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I would tell you, don't do any longer than 5 minutes to start.
Okay. Yes.
Three to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. And then I think you'll find it really. I guarantee you that in 6 weeks, Debbie will tell you that she notices a difference in you.
Okay.
If you did it consistently, she would say, "Oh, you're changing," and it would be experienced as depth of presence.
Yeah.
That literally, it gives you a new quality of consciousness.
Yeah.
Honestly, where your awareness is just, it has a depth that it didn't have before. It's like prior to doing it, you were like skating on the surface of life.
Yeah.
Versus kind of being deeper down.
Yeah.
And people will experience a qualitative difference in who you are when you're with them. Particularly as a 7, the change would be pretty dramatic. And definitely worthwhile.
Life doesn't pause when you're sick. Vaccines against respiratory illnesses can help protect you and give you more playtime with your best friend. Depending on age and health status, vaccinations for flu, COVID-19, RSV, or pneumococcal infection may be recommended. Vaccines can help keep you from having a rough time. Learn more at cveep.org/vaccines-protect. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and CVEEP, fighting infectious respiratory disease.
All right, we got to wrap up here pretty soon. I want to talk about Sketch, the film. Tell folks about this film. I was on the set with you one day where I also was attacked by chiggers and itched for 6 weeks.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Every time I see that movie, my whole body itches. Tell folks about it because it's amazing.
My friend Seth Worley is the writer-director. He and I have worked together on various projects over the last 20 years. I met him when he was 19 and hired him to do second unit photography on the first movie I made and then the second movie I made, and we've collaborated on a bunch of other things. But he had written this screenplay, wrote the first draft of the first act, I think it was 8 years ago, and sent it to me. And I mean, I barely had any notes. I was just like, wow, I love this. I can't wait to see it finished. He finished the screenplay. He moved with his family to Los Angeles. He met Tony Hale, who was the beloved actor from Arrested Development and Veep and Forky and Toy Story 4 and Fear and Inside Out 2. They hit it off. Tony worked with him kind of developing the character of the dad in this movie. And it's about a 10-year-old girl named Amber. And we find out early on that her mother has died and her dad is worried about her. So he takes her to a counselor, and the counselor finds out she likes to draw. And the counselor says, I want you to take this sketchbook. She gives her a sketchbook and said, put all your feelings in the sketchbook. And Amber brightens up and goes to town and starts drawing all these comically horrific monsters. And then, of course, they come alive and terrorize everybody. We've been calling it a cross between Inside Out and Jurassic Park, which is a pretty good description.
Yeah.
And so we were actually, Seth came close in Hollywood to getting the movie made with the studio at a quite a bit more expensive price. And it never happened. And he moved his family back to Nashville a few years ago, and I think was kind of discouraged. And I got with him while we were talking about stuff. I asked him what was up with Sketch, and he said, it's dead. Nobody wants to make it. I said, oh man, that project's too good. So I read the latest version of the script and then got with him and said, we can make this movie, but let's make it, let's be scrappy about it. And let's use people here in town, and let's use all the resources that we have. Tony Hale had been on board for almost 7 years and couldn't be more supportive, and ended up coming on as a fellow producer as well. And we got it made. And it turned out really beautifully. The thing that took a while was the visual effects, because it's very visual effects heavy. But those finally came together as well. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival last year, and then got picked up by Angel Distribution. And they did a great job putting out this summer. It's been opening theatrically in most of the world. It just opened last week in UK and Ireland. And it's a really good movie. It's I think it's like at 95% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It was at 100 for a long time until some grumpy critic, I don't know, didn't like it. And and it's now, I think you can now rent it on Amazon, and they even have a DVD out that just came out. So I recommend people checking it out.
Yeah, it's really great. I do too. It first of all, having been on the journey of your life as you were making it, visiting the set, watching early cuts of it and stuff, it was so fun to watch it come to be. And that's where sevens thrive. I mean, your ability to multitask and be doing a zillion things. And of course, your work as producer is so complicated.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and also, learning all the dramas behind the scenes of making a film, which are considerable.
I tell people, producing movies is filmmaking minus all the fun parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's intense. So just kind of closing out on this theme of, and Anthony, I think I'm going to do more of this, like talking with people about their types as they move into the second half of life, or the last third of life. As you leave behind even former versions of yourself, or as you think about you're in the past, there have been sadnesses and disappointments. Sevens sometimes will avoid thinking too much about those because they're rushing on to the next thing. But I'm wondering, are there sadnesses and disappointments that you're now ready to let go of and not rewrite in your mind?
Yes.
And just be okay with them? Like, what's that like for you as a seven?
That's a good point. Our pastor preached a sermon that was so good that I listened to it a second time this morning. And he was talking about forgiveness. And I think regrets could be that way too. He was like, he's talked about how he carried around a bucket of forgiveness, and then every once in a while he'd reach in and take the easiest one to forgive, but was still carrying around the bucket until he, changed his way of thinking about forgiveness. And that resonated with me, but I think it could also apply to regrets as well. Projects that never got made or didn't maybe turn out the way I wanted to, or even ones that were successful, but something that happened that kind of, makes it less than a perfect experience. And I don't think about the past a lot, but it's probably a good idea to reach into that bucket and grieve some of those things and then move on. And so you are correct. Thinking about the past is not something that I do very often, but it's probably the time of life to do some of that.
I agree. I think for any seven, like to mature and ripen, again, using that language of Broheiser, ripening, depth of character, things like journaling about the past? Are there people that you need to forgive? What was your part in the thing falling apart, maybe? And grieving, which is not first nature for sevens. I mean, like that is a scary feeling to sevens.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels, I don't know, tell me if this is true for you, but most sevens will tell me it's like, I'm afraid that if I have that feeling, I'll never get out of it.
Right. Yes. My dear dad died a couple of years ago, and I'm thinking about him more now than I did, the first year after he died. Because I loved him dearly, and he was a beautiful soul. And I don't think a lot about the past, but especially the death of a parent, I think probably has to change that on some level.
What's one of your favorite things about him? I'd love to hear.
Oh man, he was always grateful to my mom for making meals. Like he never complained about almost nothing, and lived a life of gratitude. I mean, don't get me started. He was a good guy. I could talk a lot about my dad.
Love that.
That's a great gift. Well, hey, last question, Steve. If your 21-year-old Steve met 67-year-old Steve, what would surprise him about you?
What would surprise him?
About who you've become.
Yeah. I think if the 21-year-old me met the 67-year-old me, he would realize, wow, you can relax a little bit.
Tell me more about that.
I'll give you a really quick example. When I was 19, I'd gone away to college for a year, and it was not a good year. And I moved back home and was getting ready to go to Colorado University, a state school, because I lost my scholarship and just had a not good year. And I decided to do something that summer that I hated, which was running in the Mile High City, which is even harder, right? And I became a runner that summer. And I was, wasn't sure what the future was and was unsure about everything just because I hadn't had a good year at my first year of college. This is a long story. I'll shorten it. Anyway, one day I'm running down the road and I hear a sound and I like, where's that coming from? There's nobody anywhere nearby except for two women playing tennis in the park. And I follow where the sound and it was coming out of the trunk of a car. And I was like, hello? And I start hearing these kids' voices yelling, help, help, help. I was like, hold on. And I think, I don't know how to get in this trunk. And I just push the latch and it opens up. And there's three little boys that were 30 seconds away from suffocating.
Oh my gosh.
And they're gasping for air. They're red-faced. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And it turned out they were just screwing around. Their moms were playing tennis. They'd crawled into the trunk of a car. They closed it and couldn't get it open. And all that story to say that took a little pressure off me at that summer. It's like, well, if nothing else happens, I saved 3 kids from suffocating, right? That's not nothing. So chill out a little bit, relax. You're going to be okay. And so, yeah, that's probably what my younger self would think about the older self, or what I'd tell him is like, relax. Everything's going to be all right.
Love it. Everybody, we're talking to my friend, Steve Taylor, whose resume, interests, energy, and life are too big to summarize in an opening or a closing to a podcast. But I just love Steve. I have written in my journal before that I'm grateful for our friendship, and that you're one of those people, and I use this word sparingly in life, but when I'm with you, I feel delight. Very consistently, a feeling of delight that arises in me to be around somebody who has and is moving through life with, well, going back to the word enthusiast, and theos, it means in God. And I think about energy and life that you have and that you radiate. Anyway, so grateful for you.
Likewise, Ian. Thank you.
And everybody listen up. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Typology. May you have love. May you have joy. May you have peace. May you have healing. And may you have rest. Until next time.